Hey guys, well as you can see I've got Marge in the shop today and I got a little, well I guess you might call it, some of you might see it as an unusual project for her. Today I'm going to be fitting central locking, or at least getting started on fitting central locking. So yeah, it's part of kind of the vision I have for the car. I want to get her modernized a little bit, still looking like she does now outside, but with some of the modern conveniences that we kind of have come to expect in today's cars. Now, so some of that includes like power brakes and power steering. It's also, for me, I want some central locking so I can just lock it and shut all the doors and know it's secure. And yeah, and whatever else kind of comes to mind. Now, the Plymouth, I mean, I wouldn't swap it for a different car, but like the New Yorker wagon 59, had all those power options. So, I don't want a New Yorker, I want this car. So I'm gonna upgrade this. I want to get like power seats as well. If you guys know where there's a power bench seat out of one of these forward look Mopars kicking around, I'd be all about that. I just like a few of the bells and whistles that the Plymouth didn't typically get. I mean, this one's stock with electric tailgate but wind up windows. So all right, well that's enough of that ramble. Let's get to it. Let's have a look at these doors and see what we're going to do, because I've been cleaning. We took all the door panels off and I was staggered by how much dirt and sand this kind of Southern California sand was like just filling up the doors. And I'll show you what we vacuumed out of it. That's like a 16-gallon Craftsman wet dry vac, and it's probably a third full of this. All just came out of the bottom of the four doors. So yeah, just that's going to make it do a bit quicker on the quarter mile. It's heavy, man. It's probably like 30 pounds of dirt in there. But anyway, okay, so central locking. Now, one of the tricks with this Mopar is that it doesn't have the traditional little plunger locks here that up for open and down for locked. It doesn't have that. It relies purely on the outdoor key to lock it and unlock it from inside. If it's locked and you're in it and inside, opening the door handle will actually just override the lock and open the door. So I've got to kind of dive in there and figure out how to make the central locking that is really designed to go with the plunger style locks work on this 65-year-old Mopar. So now I'm going to tear this out. I'll put the camera on the tripod and get this thing apart. Well, let's get started. These have got to come off. Now I've spent 10 minutes looking at this thing, figuring out how to get it apart, so I don't just magically know. You didn't need to watch 10 minutes of video of me going, how am I going to do this? So, yeah, magic of television. Here we are. Got a little hole in here with a little 7/16 bolt in there, and that's what connects the outer handle to this latch mechanism. So we'll just get rid of that. Hopefully I'm not too close. Right, now we've got 4 screws here holding the striker mechanism in, and there's 2 screws here which I wasn't sure what they were for, but they actually hold a pivot point that is what locks the car. So you've got the key goes in here, that goes into a lever that comes across here to a pivot point, comes further across here and locks a mechanism that goes up and down here. So that'll make more sense when I get it out and can show you. Ooh. those were there for. Ah. There was a bracket in here that was spot welded on, and yeah, something's gone on there, not sure what. Part of the trick is getting this lever off. So yeah, there's our striker. That's how it goes in there. Now this is this little lever that I was talking about. This is kind of an unusual setup. That kind of sits inside the door like that, and the key operates this piece, the little square, the little arm off the key pushes that up and down, which in turn pushes that little lever up and down on that pivot point and locks it. So I'm going to get this cleaned up and the other side cleaned up, and I'll be back in a moment. Okay, so here it is on the bench. About an hour later, this is the driver's side now, but about an hour later of scraping the 60 years of grunge off here, because all the dirt's mixed in with the grease from when it's been greased, and yeah, that was a lot of scraping and just chiseling it off with a screwdriver, and now it's pretty clean, so it just makes it more pleasant to work with, you know. Now I'll try and make this a little clearer for you, hopefully. That is as it looks if you're looking from inside the door, and this piece here is the locking mechanism, and that goes up and down. The little two screw holes here are fixed in the door frame. This sits about there. Key lock goes in the side here into this little square hole, and basically pushes that down, pushes down and up, and operates this lever here you see moving. That just goes through there, can't get out, and yeah, it's a little hard to reproduce while I'm trying to hold it. But yeah, it moves up and down and locks like that. And to kind of give you an idea, that's the unlock position, and that's what releases it. The door handle pulls up on that and releases it. When it's in the lock position, that goes up and it hits this piece here. See, unlocked, locked. So what we have to do is make that move up and down electronically. Sounds easy, right? So here is the little central locking door motor. Now, as I was saying earlier, this is designed to basically piggyback onto the side of the rod that's normally at the back of the door opening, you know, on 2-door or 4-door cars. And there's a little bracket they give you which will piggyback that on to the existing factory one. And basically it just pulls, that's your movement, that's the throw. And that, you know, unlock, lock, unlock, lock. It's kind of that simple. It gets a little flash of power, like a 2-second burst of power from the little controlling brain that it has, and it will just fire it up and fire it down. So yeah, what we have to do is get that movement, that up and down movement, or side to side, depending how you mount it. But right now our locking mechanism is here, and it has a vertical movement. So we have to get this attached to here somehow. Now, not quite as easy as you might think. So what I've come up with, looking at it in the car, this piece is here. Now, I've drilled this little hole as an experiment. Again, I'm trying to get it up so you can see it. There's a little hole I've added right in there, just an 1/8 of an inch hole. I have in turn bent a little 90-degree, double 90 there, make a little dog leg. And what that goes through there, that hole wasn't there, I've added that just goes through there and pulls that up and down. So what I'm going to do is put that through this hole. We've got a gap there between the door, frame of the door, and this face of the bracket here. And that's going to sneak down the side there. We attach this into the door frame, which just gets screwed through from the from like behind where the door panel goes, so you won't see the screws, and that will simply push that up and down. Sounds simple, right? What could possibly go wrong? We've got to hope this has got enough power, enough grunt to get that open and closed. And but I have done a few of these before, and I'm pretty sure that's going to work. But the way that was there, it just lent itself. I'm just looking at this going up and down, and I thought, man, if there was just a hole there I could tag onto, and we got good leverage there. So yeah, I'm going to put this back in, hook this up, see if it'll work. If it does, I think that's going to be the front doors sorted pretty easily. The rear doors, that's a whole nother challenge. I was having a look at them off camera, and yeah, that's definitely more of a challenge, but I'll explain that in a minute. I'm going to get this back in and go from there. Okay, well, it's noisy in here, guys, with the rain. It's pouring down here. So hopefully you can hear me. I've got a mic, so. Now, everything's back in, striker's back in, actuator arms hooked up. That little pivot arm that goes from the locking key over to the locking slide is all in. So it opens and closes and locks just kind of the way it used to. Now, I have got the actuator motor hooked up down here. It's just swinging on that long rod. So so this rod, there's a rod like this on the other end of this motor that's going up, hooking into our factory mechanism. So I've got the motor hanging here. So I've got the motor on fully, like locked is up. So I've got the motor extended. I'm going to push it up so it's locked, which you can't really, it's about an inch or so. And now what we're going to do is drill some holes to mount this. So fortunately I can just see the hole here. So I can just mark across and go, okay, we need that to be there. And then I'll grab another motor and I'll do the spacing from there because I can't see the top one. So I'll do the spacing from another motor, get that, drill those out, and should work. Okay, so here's another motor. So what I'm going to just use is a scribe and line that up with the mark that I made. Hold the motor there. That's not a mark you can see very well. Okay, that gives me a little mark that I'm sure you guys can't see, but I can. So it's all good. That motor's going to go in there, inside the door, right about there. So this trim clip will miss it. That motor will butt up against there. And actually, well, we could put it in either way, really. And let's drill some holes. Give it a little bit of, slot our holes a little bit up and down to give us a fraction of adjustability. Yeah, it's about as simple as that, guys. Now, so I'm just manually operating it. When that goes all the way up, that handle's locked. You pull it back down, yep, the handle opens. So mechanically it's doing the job. Now we just see if it's doing it electronically. Okay, decided we better have a look at the rear striker assembly and kind of figure out how we're going to get that working with the central locking as well. Now, you'd think they'd be similar, but they're not. You know, that's Murphy's Law. They're a completely different concept. It has this kind of strap or rod that runs from the striker up to the little locking mechanism here, and you know that pushes and pulls to lock and unlock the door, the striker. So we've got to get this. This is the little rod that attaches to the actuator. That's got to hook onto here somewhere, but like that's the locked position, that's unlocked, and you know where the door is here, so this motor has to swing out to kind of out to here, sort of like a 45-degree angle instead of being straight up and down. We can do it on the front door because the back of the door is straight. The back of the, if you look kind of over there behind me, you can see the you know the wheel arch is part of the rear door, so we don't have the same real estate. So this needs to be mounted kind of on a 45-degree angle so we can get a pull. So it'll pull. We can't obviously use this point. This is too much of a straight line. We need like a 90, that's your pivot point there. We need like a 90-degree there. This needs to be approximately, let me pop this off, it might make it a little easier to see. But that needs to be, we're in shot here, about there where it goes through a bracket. But obviously we've just got fresh air. So what I'm going to do is weld a little piece in here, like so. And then drill a wee hole there, and then that is going to give us, you know, the kind of motion that we need to get the pull going. So let me get that welded on, and hopefully it'll make a bit more sense. A little piece welded on there. You got to be a little bit careful not to get too much build up, because the thing's got, you know, don't want any lumps of weld interfering with your travel. So yeah, this is your locking device. Now we can mount the little activator motor out here on an angle. That's locked, that's unlocked, so that's your movement. So now we've got somewhere to swing it on. The original one can go on like that. It goes like that. Now that's horizontal. This will pull and push, and yeah, pretty straightforward. Kind of really, you just got to think outside the box a little bit, and just because there's not something jumping out at you to go, put me here, you just got to figure out another way of doing it. There's always a way. There's always a way. All right, I'm going to get this back in the car, and we'll go through mounting the little actuator motor. So everything's back in, you know, striker, the handles, the little lock, that's the factory lock button, shall we call it. Our little actuating rod is here. And now, if you look up at that, when you push that, that's moving. So all we have to do is duplicate that in and out movement, or up and down movement, whatever you want to call it, with this. So let's do this. That snaps into there. We just have to sneak that in there. Now, as you can see, I've had to cut a hole here, about here, about that line there, that rolled in to match that angle. So I cut it across and kind of hammered this flat. So we've got somewhere to mount this to, which is kind of right there. Try and avoid like the clip holes. We don't want to use the clip holes, so we'll bring that over there a little. And yeah, so that's down, that's going to go there, and that should work like a charm. So let's mark where we got to drill some holes, and drill some holes. So that's up, and that's up, we got to have that down. Need a hole about here. And a hole about here. This is a little tricky, and there's not really an easy way to do it. You've kind of just got to best guess it. And like, I'm just moving this side to side so I can see. I'm not sure how the light is, but that's the little hole there that the screw's got to go through. So I've got the height there. Move that across. So we're going to drill a hole about there and about there. Yeah, and that's going to get us pretty close. You can slot those holes and you can make them a little oversized. You know, if you don't nail it the first time, look, it's not the end of the world. Now, what do I do with my drill? That was a good place to leave it. Drill a hole here. And it should. What we're going to do, give these a little bit of a slot. Just do that to elongate them so we've got a little bit of adjustment. And if you need a little bit more, you can add a little bit more. I mean, you know, most of the holes in these vehicles or cars, you know, are slotted. Like all these are slotted, you know, for adjustment, because it's very hard to get it like 1/1000th of an inch precise. So we go and get some screws, and we'll get this screwed in, give it a test. Right, let's get some screws in. sure why I didn't use a power screwdriver for this, but hey. There you have it. We got an almost straight shot there, not quite, but close enough. It's just a tiny few degrees angle there, but yeah, now that's going to pull up and down, open and close. Now all we got to do is the electronics. So as you see, I've been busy off camera. We've got wires coming through here. We just got to hook them up to the motor. The wires off the motor. Blue green, blue green. The one annoying thing with this kit, I will say, is that this is actually the only door where the wiring was long enough. I've had to extend the wiring out to the passenger side on both doors and extend the wiring into the driver's door. I think really the kit was made, you know, for a more compact car, you know, like tuner cars maybe, Japanese stuff, and the wiring's just not long enough for a big old Bertha like this. Not a big deal to extend the wiring, but it's just a bit of, I mean, on the front doors they've got 5 wires, on the back doors they only have 2, so extending the wiring on the front doors is a bit of a drag, but that's how it goes. Other than that, it's a really great little kit. So I'm just going to button this down, connect these, put some sheathing on the wires, and we'll dive into the remote control. Alright, back in a second, guys. Okay, time to wire the remote control units in. So this kit comes with basically 2 little brains. There's this one here, the black one, that runs the different doors, sends out the signals you know, from the power that's brought into here, and that sends it out to the doors. And when you lock one door, either the front driver's door or front passenger door, that will in turn lock all 4 doors. So all that goes on in this little brain. And this one you just have to run to 12 volt full-time power. That's pretty simple. It already grounds through the harness that you've already installed. So that's ready to go. This is the remote unit, which is what works with your key fobs. Now, a lot of wiring here. That does look a bit a lot, but it's fairly simple. You do have to connect. You've got a brown and white wire coming out of the main brain, and that runs into, that's the unlock and lock mode, and now it's all in the wiring diagram that's on the internet. So yeah, that tells you which one goes where. So you've got unlock, which is blue, lock, which is green. They connect to the brown and white. So then when this gets the message from this, sends it down here into the brain and out to the locks. All these other ones are basically optional features you can make it do. You can make it kill your ignition, you can make it flash your park lights, you can make it sound your horn, like beep your horn, and any other accessories you might want. So one of the things I'm probably going to do is see if we can't hook it into the electric rear tailgate, because it would be nice to be able to use the remote and just have one of the extra buttons on here to like zap the rear glass, rather than have to, you know, put the key into the lock in the back or come up to the front and use the dash mounted electric switch. So you know, the spare ones of these, you can use one of those to trigger your relay to send that back window down. That's for another video. So right now, what we have to, with this one, you've got to connect it to 12 volts full-time power. You've got a black wire which goes to ground, and a yellow which goes to accessory / ignition. So I've done all that. Those are all hooked in. Obviously these will get tucked away nice and clean up under the dash when we're done. But really this is to show you. You've got a little antenna wire coming out here. Okay, so we have to program our remotes now. Now these are all wired up. So what we got to do is turn the ignition on, like so. And there's a little black button on the back here which you've got to push twice. Starts flashing. You've then got 15 seconds to push one of the buttons on the remote. It doesn't really matter which they say, so you push one of them, and that's gone to solid green. Green LED will stay on for 3 seconds to signify the remote has been learned. After 15 seconds, programming mode will automatically exit. You can manually exit by turning it off, and then you just basically rinse and repeat to program the second remote. So let's do the second remote. That one should be connected. We'll turn the ignition off again. Ignition on. 1, 2. We're flashing. And we will do that. That stays on for solid 3 seconds. And then that will stop in 15 seconds. And they should be, remotes should be programmed. Let's see if they are. I'll turn that off. Whoop. Look at that. You hear that? That locked. That actually unlocked. Locked. Unlocked. How cool is that? Let's check the other one. Yep, that's locked. That should be locked. Let me just check. Yep, that is indeed locked. They're all locking. Cool. I mean, that really wasn't that hard, even for a sort of technophobe guy like myself. It is all here, and yeah, it might be easier on a computer screen to read this because I've got to keep zooming in. But that's pretty straightforward. Now, I can supposedly connect it to my phone. So I'm going to give that a try because this has been pretty simple so far. So let's try that. All right, that took a few minutes to work this out and install the app. So you go to Autoloc, you just look up in the App Store for Autoloc. It's right there. So I've got that installed now, and it's ready to start pairing. So what we have to do is turn the ignition on. This same black button that we pushed twice, you now have to push and hold. And a blue light should come on. Look at that. Okay, so the blue light should come on like that, and we can hit start pairing. And that says it's scanning now. It wants a name, so we're going to call it Marge, of course. Wants to add a photo. Bear with me, guys. Got to find a photo of Marge now, don't we, really? There she is. So we got a photo. Oh, yeah, it's not very good. We got the photo. Done. Save. It now says it's scanning. Device connected. There we go. Look at that. Like, I'm probably as surprised as you guys are, possibly. Yeah, that's what your app looks like. So I think I just locked it then. So no, the other way around. Okay, make a liar of me now. Maybe I've got to turn that off. Oh, no, okay, it's how you push the buttons. Okay, so you just give it a little tap. That should have been unlocked. Let me just check. Yep, that's unlocked it. And that's locked it. Okay, it's working now. It just took a moment to figure itself out. So yeah, if you're, I don't know, you flew to Los Angeles and somebody wants to get into Marge, Steve's here, wants to get into Marge, it's locked up, he hasn't got the keys, you can just ring me up. I just hit the button on my phone and it unlocks. Okay, I know that's a bit over top, and I'm probably never ever going to do that, but it's kind of a cool feature. And you've got a trunk release there, so we can hook that into the tailgate glass if I can get that worked out. And then you've got another 5 alternatives. So yeah, if you want to set the hazard lights flashing, you can do that. You know, like you can. It's very. It will learn a lot for you. So I'm quite impressed with this little thing. You know, for a couple $100, it's quite clever, and now it's just easy. I mean, I'm always probably going to have that on my keys, so you know I'm probably not really going to need the phone connectivity. But hey, it's done, and like I said, an old fossil like me was able to work it out. Hopefully you've kind of hung in with me and still watching this, because it didn't get too boring, but that's pretty neat. All right, guys, well, I'm going to get this mess down here. You know, we've got all these little brains and stuff glowing to get tucked up under the dash and make it pretty. And there you go, the car's got central locking. So I'm pretty happy with that. All right, guys, you have a good one. I'm going, well, yeah, I think this is going to wait for another day. It's getting late, and I'm hot and tired, and I'm going to go home and have a bourbon. And I kind of consider another, like, that's taken like 3 Saturdays to get this done on and off. So yeah, it's a little bit of work with all the wiring, but it's pretty cool. All right, guys, you have a good one. I'll see you later. Take care.